There we go. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. This is going to be our very first Oceans webinar forum, and I'm very, very excited. So you all know me, but my name is Raina Fox. I'm the Partnerships Director. And on today's call, we're going to be doing two things. The first is having our remote fellowship session on Community Organizing 101, which will be led by two of our colleagues at One Campus. And then the second section will be led by our Oceans Prize winners, Emmanuelson and Pedersen Bernard, who are calling in from Haiti. So just to give a little bit of background, our global webinar series is designed to unite students across the world who are doing work to advance the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Every year we have students submit ideas that they have to really advance those goals, and we select a few winners. So this year we chose two. One is a group of gender-related campaigns that are led by 4 young women in 4 different countries. They're from Zimbabwe, Zambia, Ghana, and the US, and they have a series of webinars all related to gender inequality that touch on their individual campaigns and also bigger issues of gender inequality. And then the second one, which brings us here today, is our Oceans Forum, which is led by Pedersen and Emmanuelson Bernard, who are calling from Carrefour, Haiti, and they will talk a little bit about their project during this call. But my summary is that it has to do with waste management and ocean conservation. So anyone is welcome at any of the forums, and we hope that anyone who is watching this later will choose to join us in person by calling in during the times of the forums themselves. So with that, just a reminder that hour one is going to be the remote fellowship, which is led by Jen Fraser and also Gordon Wong. I'm sorry I didn't add you to the slide, but we're so happy that you're here. And part two is going to be the Oceans Campaign Forum. So the reason that we have those two different sections is that the remote fellowship is an opportunity for students around the world to really learn from leaders in the field, which is something that we do really well at MCN, is connect with professionals and students who are really leading global development and social impact work from intentional places. And we want to keep students connected over the course of the year, even between conferences, even if they're not a part of our in-person fellowship. And then the campaigns are student-led. So it looks like we have a couple additional people, which is great. All right, so I am just going to note one administrative thing, which is that if you've just joined us, please send me in the chat function your name, your full name, your email address, and also where you're calling from. And the reason is that I keep track of attendance, and that way we know how many people call into these sessions, and I can also follow up with people. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. In the interest of time, I'm going to turn it over to Gordon and Jen. All right.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Sometimes Gordon was teasing me earlier that I'm early. There's some feedback. There we go. Awesome. And I'm actually gonna, is it okay if I share my screen as well, Rena? Okay, awesome. We have a couple slides. I'm not a very talented PowerPoint maker, so these are very basic slides. But I am going to share it with you now. So give me one sec. All right. Oh, can you still hear me okay? Thumbs up. Okay. Awesome. So again, thanks for having us with you all. We are MCN on the amazing work that you all are doing through MCN, and are big fans and excited to kind of chat with you all. We loved being at MCC this summer, and we're able to do an impact studio on organizing. That's really kind of what Gordon and I do with the One campaign, and I'll share real quick just a little bit more about One, just for anyone who wants that context. But this is sort of an adapted version of that impact studio that we were able to do at MCC this summer. So, and again, I'm the director for college organizing. Gordon, my colleague, is manager for college organizing. And we both work on our campaigns team here at One. So One is a movement of people around the world fighting what we say the absurdity of extreme poverty. So we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan campaigning organization. And what we do is work to lobby elected leaders in all around the world, to lobby governments to end extreme poverty. So we don't do any fundraising, we don't do any direct service work. It's really all about advocating and getting people across the globe to raise their voices on issues of extreme poverty and to actually affect real change through policy and programs. So Gordon and I run our campus program in the US. So he and I specifically, our role is very focused on our US college student volunteers. So we have One chapters at colleges and universities across the US. And those teams, which I'll talk a little bit more about into the context of organizing, work to raise awareness about extreme global poverty and also to mobilize their peers to do things like write handwritten letters, make phone calls, meet with their elected leaders wherever they may live. And then we've got offices in Europe, in Africa, and have sort of been growing to some other geographical markets as well, where we have members who do very similar advocacy work. And I do want to stress, it's especially since we're right in the throes of election season in the US, we are nonpartisan. So we really believe that extreme poverty doesn't have a political party, and in order to address it, we need sort of both sides of the aisle and everyone in between to be able to come together on this issue. And so I'm going to, with that, kind of hand it over to Gordon to get a little bit more into what is organizing, because I think it's something that he and I are very passionate about. But when I was younger, I was a student leader in school and things, but I didn't even know that I was an organizer by being a student leader. And over the years and through my career, I've really learned a lot about sort of what exactly is organizing, how do you do it effectively to create change. And it's a skill that's so important no matter what type of issue-based or political campaigning you're doing. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And again, that's really our wheelhouse at One. We organize college students across the U.S. So we're excited to sort of share some of those lessons with you. And certainly if you've got, lessons that you've learned or expertise that sort of you have from your experience working for social change, we would love for you to chime in and participate too. So I'll hand it over to Gordon. Yes.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. So when I click it to the next slide, coordinating with Jen.
Sorry.
So what is organizing? So let's start with this quote from Marshall Ganz, who is in a lot of ways kind of one of the leading figures in community organizing. He's a professor now at Harvard, but got his start. He actually dropped out of Harvard in the 60s to join Cesar Chavez out in California. And then, went to Brew Union, got still invited, and his friends like, you got to finish school, and ended up going back. And now he's a tenure professor at the Kennedy School of Government. So if you ever get a chance, he actually has open weekend sessions there. So a little plug for him if you want to go. So just kind of a little way, kind of our patron saint of organizing, and was really involved with the Obama campaign, and especially in 2008. But he sums up organizing and organizers as this: organizers identify, recruit, and develop leadership, build community around, and build community around leadership, and build power out of community. Organizers bring people together, challenging them to act on behalf of their shared values and interests. So you can break it down to a lot of different things. So what do organizers do? What they do is they recruit and bring people together and develop leadership. The best organizers are the ones that are able to get their leaders to act on their behalf and to take on responsibility. We at One, and a lot of organizers will say that where our main goal is always about the issues or the candidates are working on, but kind of underneath all of that is to organize ourselves out of a job. Some places and some people are doing it better than others, but we know they'll always need help. But we know that kind of the goal is that we don't want to be in this job forever. We want our leadership, our volunteers to do it. We have some great examples that we can share with you in a little bit. And so another piece of what organizers do is that they develop relationships. They always cultivate new ones, but they're also always looking to re-engage old relationships. And no relationship is ever empty. You should always leave room for more in those conversations. And you never know. We see it here at One campus. Some students really get excited for our One Vote and our election work, but then they might kind of dip down because midterms or exams, and then all of a sudden an issue around our AIDS work comes back up, and we see another spike in engagement. And so always realizing what brings people to the table and what their passions are. But also for us, we want to challenge people and challenge their preconceived notions or some of their biases and some of their sometimes our policy work is kind of deep and it can be complicated, and we as organizers have to be willing to learn along with our volunteers. But I also think that what organizers don't do is that they never work alone. Like I said, we're always looking for leadership. We're looking to develop leaders and give responsibility. And so sharing that with others, building upon their knowledge is how groups and chapters and organizations continue to grow. And no one at One campus, neither us as staff, need to be an expert in our policy work. We care that people come for the mission and for all sorts of reasons. So, we have students who are Republican, we have students who are Democrat, we have students who are green, or libertarian or independent. Everyone's welcome, and everybody has a place in this work in our chapters. And the other is that, it's not something that is kind of underneath all this is that it should never be about what the organizers want. It should be about what the people that your organizers want. There's one story I'll tell is there's an organizer down in San Antonio, Texas, that said that it took him 10 years to actually organize around things that he cared about. Because ultimately, when he started there, he thought he was going to be talking about community policing or race relations or economic development. But when he had those one-on-one conversations, which Jen's going to tell you about in a little bit, is that when he's having those conversations, a lot of them, is that he realized that the people that he was organizing cared about two things. It was stop signs and Rain is eating right now, but dog poop on the sidewalk. Believe it or not. So it took him 10 years to work on stop signs and picking up dog poop before he actually started talking about and organizing around the issues. Which is to say that organizing takes time, but try to find opportunities and find ways to be successful along the way, and to feel illuminated around the issues that you're working on. Sometimes you might miss the mark just a little bit, but keep going, because that's what feeling successful is a part of organizing, and any little success can really continue to build a movement and build a campaign. I'm going to hand it back over to Jen.
Awesome. So, and one other thing I want to say on that note is I think it's really important to stress that what an organizer isn't is sort of a worker bee. In other words, an organizer is not necessarily, sometimes there's this preconceived notion, I think, especially with our university student volunteers in the US, for example, that by taking on a leadership role, and i.e. an organizer role, they have to be the ones doing all the work. And I think it's really important to stress that an effective organizer is going to make sure to delegate to other people and bring other people on the journey with them. So at the end of the day, they're really sort of, they're sitting in a leadership role, but there really should be a lot of people on the team working with them to sort of spread the responsibility. And you know, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of leaders will make, is that they, you know, they're like, I'm going to take it all on. Like, I really care about this. I'm going to do it all. And you just can't. You can be much more effective if you bring in more people and really break up the responsibility. So I want to talk a little bit. Any questions or anything? Does that all sort of make sense so far before I go on? All right. Feel free to shout if you have any questions. But I am figuring out how to go to the next slide. There we go. So I want to talk a little bit about storytelling, and I'm going to refer back to our friend Marshall Gans, who is an organizer and an organizing theorist, that talked about really the importance of storytelling in organizing. And it sounds funny, but it's really a critical part of being an organizer, of being a leader for social change, of being an advocate, is the ability to convey to people why you care about the issue that you're working on, and to also be able to understand their issue, their story, and sort of find out what they're bringing to it. So Marshall Gans said that when you are telling a story, you're actually telling three. And it is the story of self, the story of us, and the story of now. And telling this story is really one of our most powerful tools, because as Gordon said, you don't need to be an expert on every issue. If you are, wonderful, you know, and we should always be informed. But what really is going to move hearts and minds is when you talk about your story and why you care, and find out what other people care about that same issue. So the story of self is, why have I been called? So what are the values that are moving you personally to, you know, to bring you to this work? What personal experience did you have that made you interested in this issue that you're organizing on? Then there's the story of us. So you want to talk about the values that we share, the collective values. So for example, if you were recruiting someone to join, you know, the Millennium Campus Network, what unites us? What unites everybody that's a part of MCN? And what has called all of these different people from different countries and walks of life to work together? And then the story of now. Do we experience challenges to our values that require action right now? What's the urgency? Why does this matter right now? Marshall Gans says that those three things combined are really what's going to help you organize people, bring them on board to your cause, your team, to volunteer with you, that kind of thing. And, you know, the strategy matters and the structure of narratives, but this narrative is really what's going to move people to act. So I would encourage you, if we had more time, what we would normally do is kind of have folks actually practice telling this story, but I would really encourage you to think of yourselves as organizers, as leaders that you are, but also to practice this story. You want to be able to tell the story of self, story of us, and story of now to anybody that you meet when you're trying to bring them on board to get involved with your cause. And then you also want to draw out the story of us and self and now when you are speaking with others to get involved as well. And, you know, one thing that we showed at our Impact Studio at MCC is President Obama's 2004 convention speech. If you Google that, I'll give you a little bit of homework, but if you Google that after this call, just Google Obama 2004 convention speech. If you watch that, it's just a great example of storytelling, and you really see him at various points through that speech tell the story of self, the story of us, and the story of now. So would encourage you to check it out, but it's just a really important thing that is really at the crux of being a good organizer and motivating others to get involved. And I'm going to go to the next slide for Gordon.
Thanks, Jen. And so, you know, ultimately, what we're asking you to do in training our leaders is to understand yourself and what the interests are of the people that you're organizing and the powers that be. So to us, this is very, very simple, and you can get, we can spend an hour just on these two topics alone. So we're going to try to condense it to just a few minutes. But to us, ultimately, organizing, community organizing, campus organizing is about two things. It's about power and it's about relationships. Both power within yourself, but also the powers that make decisions. So Jen's heard this a number of times, but I like to define power by the Spanish definition. So poder, P-O-D-E-R, and it means to be able to. And so people don't realize how much power they have until you put them in the right situation to feel successful or to feel accomplished. But then also it's to understand that, what ultimately moves people to make decisions is the power of people, whether that's through money or through votes or through legislative lobbying, which is what a lot of our students do. Is that it's really hard to ignore 15 phone calls every day for a week straight about a piece of legislation around Africa, or our Electrify Africa campaign was a huge success because of the community power that we had. But we also knew that what's going to affect up to 50 million people with this legislation is congressional decision makers. And so we saw the power there, but we also knew that we had power within ourselves. One is made up of over 7 million members globally, with about a third coming from, or nearly half coming from, the continent of Africa, but then we have about 2.5 million here in the States. And it's a pretty powerful statement to tell our members of Congress, our members of Parliament in Europe that these are people from all over the country, all over the continent that care about this. But then also, how do we get to that power is through relationships. And so we talked about this is never alone, and that's why storytelling is so powerful, is that it's what inspires people, right? I know Jen. I've known Jen for a few years now, and I know that issues for her are women's issues, extreme poverty, and feminist issues, and dogs too. And so, your relationship shouldn't always be this professional. You can cross that personal barrier as well, because that could be the reason why someone like Jen cares about this, is that maybe she had strong women in her life and that told her to stand up for the issues that she cares about. That's the reason why she does what she does. For a lot of our students, they care about health, and so we want to know that, because that's really powerful. And what I learned on campaigning and organizing is that a lot of times people can try to doubt your facts and statistics, but they can't take away your story. And that's what really brings people to the table. And witness is really powerful, and be cognizant when you're organizing about how the story can really influence power. Often we want to tell stories from the continent, but we have a great video on our YouTube page about a college student named Preet. He's from Nepal, right? And he actually grew up in Nepal with no electricity. So Nepal is in Africa, but we were able to apply that story. He actually lost a friend due to kerosene poisoning. And Jen's asking me to tell you about Electrify Africa. So about 3 years ago, one started campaigning on a small little issue called energy poverty. About 7 to 10 people on the continent of Africa don't have reliable access to electricity. And so we saw that as an opportunity that, if we're able to provide infrastructure and access to electricity, it has kind of this amazing effect on all parts of life for someone living in Africa. So whether that's a farmer or a health center or a school or a government building, that has opportunity to really just lift people out of, or help people lift themselves out of poverty. So this year in February, Congress passed a bill called Electrify Africa, which would provide first-time electricity access to about 50 million people on the continent, and they got signed into law about about a week later by President Obama. So that was just an example of a piece of legislation that we've been working on that took a lot of education, both with our membership, but also with members of Congress. And how we did that was through recognizing who's in power, who are the key decision makers we need to influence and to educate, and sometimes even thank, and sometimes have to scold. But then we didn't do that through we did it strategically, but we did it because of understanding the member of Congress and what issues they care about. And so, the next slide is going to just show you kind of an example that we try to do is, so, when you're thinking about your campaigning, who is your target? And this is something that is actually kind of a real life situation. So here in the States, we work with members of Congress. So their member of Congress is a graduate of your university and is often seen in attendance at home American football games for our international friends. She's a donor to the university and has plans to speak on campus later in the year. So, if we can think about that is, who's in power, right? It's the member of Congress. Who also has power are you and your members from your chapter. But also, there's also kind of this hierarchical, another power is that, this member of Congress donates. And so she can be influenced by, esteemed alumni from your campus. So that could be the president of your university. It could be a board member. It could be a dean or a group of professors. Kind of find the different entry points to get to that member. And knowing that she's a donor, that means she probably talks to somebody in the alumni relations. Maybe there's a relationship on the football team that you can kind of get into there. But also, when you're going to that meeting on Capitol Hill or in that district, you can say, hey, I'm a proud, maybe you wear your one shirt, but maybe before you show the one shirt, you take off your university, sweatshirt. And, giving that point of entry is really important because, it kind of levels the playing field and, it balances the power dynamics a lot more. Yeah, this is often a thing that you've seen, and we actually have some great photos over the years of members of Congress at football games or at town halls. This is a really popular forum for our members of Congress, our students to meet. But yeah, so like I said, I can go on for about an hour, even more about power relationships. But we're happy to answer any questions at the end of this session, but I'm going to hand it over back to Jen.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing about this is the idea is that, this is obviously a very sort of American university example, but you all have examples in the local communities in which you work where, you've ultimately got sort of someone you need to reach. And this is really all about what we call, as Gordon said, power mapping. So looking at who are the different people that sort of have power over the issue that I want to affect, and what am I going to do to get them? And thinking really strategically about, to reach the goal that I want to reach for this issue that I'm working on, who are the sort of key players and people that I need to reach that will be strategic in helping me get there, and who really holds power in this situation. So again, that's an example we use that's very common with our students in the U.S., but certainly can be tweaked and applied, I think, across the globe. So I'm going to talk a little bit about team building. We, as organizers, I was mentioning earlier that this is not about a one-off sort of sole agent, one person working and doing a ton of work. All of the great sort of leaders of social movements throughout our time have been people who built teams. And we've referred to the Obama campaign quite a bit in this call just because that's an example that Gordon and I are very familiar with. And the Obama campaign was quite, they were quite sort of revolutionary and really effective in how they campaigned and how they organized in 2008. And so this is something that that campaign did quite a bit, but certainly social social movement leaders throughout time have done, which is to really build in teams. So I have up here on the slide the octopus model, which sounds funny, but that is what we call this model of team building at one. And the idea is, if you can, I would normally draw this out on a board if I was with you in person, but if you can picture a leader sort of in the center of a diagram, right? And so say that's you, right? You're the sort of leader of your campaign that you're working on. From there, you build out a team of leaders that kind of goes around. So in our campus example, we have these Campus One chapters at colleges and universities. And we've got what we call a one campus leader who sort of sits in the middle. Then around them, they build out what we call an executive board. And it's basically a leadership team of about 5 to 6 key students who each hold a specific role within the team. So one role would be somebody who does outreach. So they work with other groups on campus and they work to promote the chapter's events and meetings. There's a data coordinator, somebody who's specific for capturing data on how many advocacy actions did they get, how many people did they get to attend this meeting, capturing that data and sending it back to us. There's a treasurer, somebody who handles the finances of the club. If they raise money for an event or they need money for buying pizza for a film screening they're hosting. So you get the idea, but there's a key group of people who all hold very specific leadership roles within the group. And that leadership team really works together around the campus leader to do the lion's share of work. And then from them, each of those leaders are recruiting more people to be a part of the movement. So you picture this sort of, we call it the octopus because it looks like it has a bunch of pictures, sort of like the body with a bunch of legs going outwards. From that leadership team, each of those people are responsible for recruiting more general members who will be a part of the team. And those are the people who are going to show up to, help out when an event is happening, or we need to get more handwritten letters to the member of Congress on the Electrify Africa Act. Those people are going to show up to participate, to be a part of it. And, just from there, you grow outward and outward. And that type of model allows our teams to do so much more and produce so much more advocacy and to be so much more effective than if we just had a campus leader working and doing it all by themselves. So, you really think of these folks as a team, which I have on here, relationship building is key. These folks operate as very much as a team, like a sports team in a way, that you would any sports team you'd be familiar with, in that they are in it for a collective goal, regardless of the different backgrounds or, different personal reasons they come to the work. In our case, that's ending extreme poverty. And they really, not only care about the issue, but they care about each other. So many of them end up becoming friends. They'll do social events together to get pizza or just kind of hang out sometimes, because as Gordon was mentioning earlier, that sort of personal relationship is often, in addition to the mission that you care about, is the reason people keep coming back and wanting to be involved. It's because they enjoy it, they like the people that they're hanging out with, it builds community, and it makes it much more likely that they're going to keep coming back and being involved. So in terms of building a team like this, you don't do that overnight, right? Gordon mentioned that organizing takes time. It's sort of a long game. It can be a process, and you always use the word build at the time because you're always building. And something that is key to building a team like this is one-on-one meetings. So this is something that, you guys that are listening to this call are all, impressive men and women. And I'm sure this is something that you have done and will continue to do. And you may not even be realizing it. But having one-on-one conversations and one-on-one meetings with people to bring them on to your cause is so, so critical. So being able to sit down with somebody and say, hey, why are you interested? Hearing what skills or gifts do they have that they may be able to bring to your cause, and then making an ask and talking to them about, what is it that you would love to have them be involved with? Do you want them involved on the team? Do you want them to volunteer for you at something specific? but really bringing them on board and sort of tailoring that to what are the unique gifts and skills that that person brings and why are they interested in getting involved. You know, we often say that an effective one-on-one is 70% listening and only 30% talking. So it's about bringing people into the fold and sharing your story, as we mentioned, the story of self, us, and now, and then hearing their story and finding the overlap and making the hard asking them. You should never walk away from a one-on-one without asking somebody to, you know, do something or get involved, and you know, not being afraid to sort of make that ask to them. But that's, I would say, the number one way in which our one chapters build teams like this. So the effective ones, they have one-on-ones, they go reach out to people, hey, can I have coffee with you to talk about this open leadership position on my team? And that's really how you do it. And the other thing I'll say about team building is the sustainability piece. So we, you know, working with college and university students, we know that students are A, very busy, and B, they graduate. So sometimes they build, you know, a team on their campus, but then, and they do this amazing work, but then they graduate and they haven't necessarily thought about who's going to take over when I leave, right? And then the chapter kind of dies out, and it's a bummer because they've been doing all this amazing work and invested so much in it. And so I would really encourage you, when you think about building teams for the causes that you're passionate about and social change, you really want to think about making sure that you are building a sustainable team. From the day you start, you already want to be thinking about, you know, how do you build in room to make sure that this team can grow, regardless of whether you have to step down a couple of years from now, whatever it is, you want the cause, you want it to be able to keep going. Again, using the example of our campus chapters in the US, for one, we will often make sure that the students who are fourth-year students who are going to be graduating soon, we really ask them to recruit first and second-year students to be a part of their leadership team. And that ensures that, you know, you've got some people on board who are younger, who are going to be able to carry it forward after you graduate. You know, they start trying to identify people for the next year to be involved in January. So, you know, whatever that looks like, where you live and the campaigning that you are doing, it's really important that your team is built to last, that it's sustainable. And it's a hard thing, you know, and it always ebbs and flows, and there's always going to be people that drop out, and, you know, you kind of have to expect that. But if you really build a sustainable team, you'll always have a little bit of that infrastructure there to keep it going. So I'm going to hand it, I think we're on to our last slide now, but Gordon has just a few more things to say, just to kind of close our section out. But before we do that, does anyone have questions or comments or sort of feedback or experiences that you would want to share from the work that you've done? All right. I'm trying to get in there now.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Can you repeat the last thing you said for me, please, Jane? Yeah,
I was just saying if anybody has questions or, you know, just sort of feedback or other experiences that are relevant, because I know you all have done some organizing work on your own yourself. And if not, that's okay too. Gordon and I are always happy to chat after too if you have questions or anything.
Okay, I just have one question, and it is about organizing. Okay, and I have some comments about this slide. Then I think I'm gonna make the comment after. Then let me ask my question first. Okay. Marshall Gans has said, I mean, the way he defined the concept organizing, okay, I think it is only about one facet of organizing, because we do not organizing only people, but also other resources. So I want to know if, according to you, if organizing is essentially about people, okay? And one other thing, I don't want. I want to know if what is come before organizing. Okay, so that's okay for me. That's my question.
What was the second question? Say the last part of your question again.
I think organizing is part of a process. Okay, so what
What is the first point?
well,
before
what is
organizing?
the first point? What is the first thing
The
before
first step before organizing? What
Yeah.
is supposed to be done?
Yeah, so to your first question, I would love to hear, because I think you're absolutely right. It's about organizing resources, and using resources correctly. I would say, I'd be curious to hear your perspective. I would say that it is about people. I think that a big part of the emphasis of what we put is we say it's about people power, and that without that, that you can't organize the rest of the resources that are available without sort of that people power first. So I think it is, it's not just about organizing people, but I think that we would probably say that people are really the key to everything else. But I'd be curious to kind of hear your perspective on that and see if I'm sort of addressing that. And to the second question, trying to remember. Yeah, so I think with organizing is a process in itself. I think what comes before the organizing is sort of what we were mentioning about the personal story of why you care. So I know for me, it's actually sort of anger often. It's like I feel angry at the injustice of extreme poverty, or I'm really passionate about women's issues. I feel really angry at the injustice of sexism and various ways that I've been treated because I'm a woman. And so that anger and that personal motivation, I think, is really what motivates me to feel like I not only want to be a part of this, but I want to organize other people who sort of share that experience or share that value in one way or another to come together. So I think you start with sort of those experiences and that very lived either personal experience or experience where other people who've been affected, and then you move into the organizing because of that. And you start small, right? You don't just end up again with like a team overnight. You start with yourself and maybe a friend, and you talk about, let's break this down into steps and really start from scratch and say, let's bring 2 people on and sort of bring them to be a part of our team. And then let's grow over time and try to build out this team. But it is very much a process. And I think the very first step is sort of the personal motivation and, having those very first conversations, bringing the very first couple people on board. Gordon, anything you would add to that?
No, Jen kind of hit it right on the nail. It has to start with yourself first before anything. But oftentimes the reasons why you start will change over time. Like the reason might just, I worked with a lot of people. We worked with a lot of people that did this because of the issue, but then they ended up staying and continue to grow in their leadership because they found a community of people that cared about these issues just as much as they did, or they found that they just grew. And I don't think a lot of people go in and say, I'm doing community organizing so I can get leadership experience. They do organizing, become organizers and leaders because they care about an issue. And that's why this really taking time and making yourself vulnerable to understand the reasons why you're doing what you're doing is really important. So it might not be with one, it might not be with MCC, or maybe it is with us, but recognize what you care about and what really gets you going, I think that is the reason why you can join.
Does that kind of make sense and answer your question? And also, I would love to hear a little bit more about what you're thinking in terms of, you know, organizing resources and things like that.
We're open question.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello?
Yep.
Yes, I was asking you if organizing a part of a process. If so, what is the steps you find before organizing?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was saying, was that it is sort of a step-by-step process. And so you're starting with the motivation, right? And the sort of passion that you bring. And again, I was mentioning the anger, sort of like, what is it that really motivates you to be, why is it so urgent? Why is this something that matters? And then you start by literally, step one, I would say, would be those one-on-one conversations. So I can give you an example of when we have a student who signs up to be what we call a one campus leader. Will often start, the very first thing they will do is maybe reach out to more people on campus who perhaps international studies, or a student who they know is interested in human rights. And they'll go have coffee with them and talk about sort of what it is they want to do to build up this team, and start having conversations and finding out who are other key players on campus who might be able to help and be a part of it. So, I guess, that's all a part of the organizing. It's not necessarily that there's something that comes before that. It's really that you start small and you build. And again, that's the key word here, is build. You start just by having conversations, you sort of bite the bullet and have that first meeting, or, once you've got sort of a critical mass of people, and you build from there. So, I don't know. I don't really know that. I think a lot of people, of our students especially, feel like in order to organize, they have to have this amazing, 40 people team of people before they can be considered organizers. And that's really not the case. You really start small, and as long as you sort of have the desire to do it and you've got a key goal, you start there and you kind of build from there, and it's all part of the organizing process.
Okay, talking about this point you are sharing with us right now, I'd like to ask a question. Okay, you told that the key is relationship building. I'm agree with that. Do you consider the fact that it could have, how can I say that, a relationship can break? Do you consider this fact? So what will happen if a relationship is broken? What will be its impact on the octopus model?
It's a good question, and I think it's something that we do see from time to time. I'll give an example. We had one of our best teams of activists at a small college in the state of Wisconsin in the US called Carthage College. And we had our student leader there was not getting along, was really having some sort of personal conflict with another student that was a leader in the group. And so that relationship was really struggling on a personal level. And what happened there was that it was sort of affecting the rest of the team. And as you mentioned, that broken relationship was then meaning that, the student wasn't, supporting the efforts of the other student because they weren't getting along. And it was sort of really affecting. And we were seeing the results here at headquarters. We were like, wow, this chapter used to be so involved, and what's happening there. And that definitely happens. I would say, so what we did in that situation was we actually got on the phone with them and really tried to talk through and bring it back to what was the common goal that both these students really cared about ending extreme poverty, and they had sort of disagreements about the way to structure the team, the way to go about it. But we were really able to sort of facilitate them having a conversation about coming back together around the common goal. And, you know, that they really had more in common about what they believed about this than differences. And, you know, sometimes that's not always possible. Sometimes there just may be people that you find more difficult to work with. It's human nature. But I think that is a key part of being an organizer, is helping to bring people together and remind them why they're in this. And there's going to be differences. There's going to be conflicts of work styles, right? And it's one of the most challenging things about being a leader is that, you know, you really sort of have to, it's sort of your role as an organizer to help people identify that common ground. Because when you really bring it back to what is the common thing we're all working towards, I think that really helps people sort of separate out any personal differences or personality differences or anything else that it may be that, you know, they may not have. So that's one. And then I think the other thing is sometimes we just see relationships sort of drop off, right? Like people, it's sort of, you know, the chapter sort of loses momentum and you sort of lose those relationships. And so I think in those cases, you have to be really intentional about building them back up. And so our chapters, again, sometimes they'll have they'll just have like a pizza party that has really nothing to do with the work we're doing. They're not advocating, they're not changing the world. They're just literally hanging out and having a good time. But it's really important because it's allowing those people to sort of build up new relationships and get to know each other to make them more effective when they do the work together. And, you know, I can mention, like, Gordon and I work very closely together, and we're not only teammates, but we're good friends. And I think sometimes he and I probably have different ways of doing things, but we've built this relationship over time where we really trust each other and have that sort of, you know, base relationship that we can kind of get through it when we see things differently or whatever. So I'll stop there. I'm kind of rambling, but I think the key here is that it's an organizer's job to help people come together, even if they might not be great friends, that they can have that relationship enough to come together around the common goals and be united on that front. Or anything. So Raina, how are we on time? Because I'm happy to, if others have any other questions or if we need to move on, that's great too.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Emanuelson and Pedersen, how are you feeling? Are you feeling like you would like to transition now to your section, or would you be comfortable with giving a couple extra minutes?
I don't really hear what she says.
Can you
repeat for us, please?
Oh. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Well, I can hear you.
Okay.
I forgot about the microphone. I was just going to say, I think I'm going to leave it up to you. If you are feeling like you want to use your whole hour, then we can transition now to you. And if you want to give, let's say, 5 minutes or a few minutes extra to have some more questions, then I'll leave it up to you.
That's no problem. We can give them some few minutes extra.
Like maximum 10
minutes.
Okay, and after that we move on our webinar.
Yeah, that's great. And we probably don't even we'll just take like 2 more minutes. So Gordon, do you want to just talk about a few of the organizing resources and sort of wrap us up? And then if anyone does have another question, happy to take it, but otherwise we'll move on.
Is there another slide?
There's not.
Okay. So we can take more questions. Raina has our information, so feel free to send her email and we can connect after this video call. So if we have amazing resources at One Campus. So if you go to our website, one.org/campus, there's a bunch of tabs that you can go in and download these beautifully designed how-to guides. So how to meet with members of Congress, or how to hold a meeting, how to build your team, how to incorporate faith into your work and campaign work. These are just free and easily downloadable, and definitely give them a read because I think they're just really beautifully designed and just really, really easy to digest. And nothing's more than 3 pages, so I think it's really nice to be able to absorb a lot of this as well. Also, I think another great place for resources, not from one, but is from an organization called 350.org that works on climate change and sustainability. They have amazing resources for people to look at how to build a movement around this issue, and not only with one campus resources, but with 350's resources. It can really be translated for any campaign and for any leader or for any organizer. And of course, we would be remiss to not mention Marshall Gans. A lot of his resources you can Google and download and read, and we've taken some of his resources and talked about it as a team. And they can be pretty dense, and so take a look at some of his talks, read kind of really quick synopses of his work, because it's really, really powerful, and it's nice to be able to reference some theory and some academia to this work, and I know for our students it's really helpful as well. And it's not here, but if you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all using One Campus. Give us a follow. It's a really great space to find out what the successes are of our students, but also it's a great resource just to kind of find out news about international development and aid. And we oftentimes tell the story of our students, which is they're the real drivers of our work as well. But then if you're in the States, if you're watching this video and you're interested in gaining leadership opportunities, if you're interested in being a part of a movement to end extreme poverty within our lifetimes, and it's very much possible if we keep this momentum. Think about joining One Campus, becoming a leader. You get to work with staff like Jen and myself and our 2 other colleagues, Maddie and Fadi, just really great at their jobs, just even better people to work with. So that's at one.org/campus if you're interested, or you can go to campus.one.org/become a leader, or campus leader, I think. But go to one.org/campus to learn about how to build a chapter, join this movement, and happy to take questions probably after this call through Ray. So really appreciate the time to answer questions and the time that you took out of your day. I'll just talk about organizing, something that we can talk about for days.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll hand it over to Raina, but thanks, and really nice chatting with you guys, and thanks for the amazing work that you all are doing.
Well, thank you so much for leading that session. That was incredible. I learned a lot, and I'm really excited to share this with all of our students via YouTube, etc. And also, I'm glad that we've had a few folks join us over the course of the call. I've been catching information, and people have been calling in from Canada and from Haiti and from the US and different places. And as you mentioned, if anyone has questions and wants to get in touch with One Campus, you can message me either by sending me a chat on the side of this session, or you can email me at rfox@mcnpartners.org, and I can connect you with Jen and with Gordon. But we're just so thrilled to have you with us. We really respect the work of One Campus and that Jen and Gordon are doing. So thank you for sharing your expertise, and let us know how else we can work with you. Cool. All right, thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to Emmanuelson and Pedersen. Pedersen, are you on? I see that you're.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna share the screen right now. Okay.
It is working right now.
We can see you. Are you trying to share your screen?
Yes.
So did you click the button that says share screen?
Of course.
It hasn't worked yet. If you prefer, you're welcome to share a PowerPoint with me, and I can share it on my computer as well and share my screen. Nope, nope, just kidding, it's working. All right, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay. I am Emmanuel Bernard, and here is my brother Pedro Bernard. We together created the Clean Street, Clean Sea program. This is a campaign against waste in our community. Why we create this program? We created because, and everywhere you go in our community, you find a big amount of waste. You will find a big pile of waste. So the situation catch our attention as young in the community. We decided to bring a campaign to fight against this problem.
Okay. As you can see on the screen, our campaign name is Clean Street, Clean Sea. Okay, and we chose this name because we want everybody to know that no matter how the sea is, no matter how dirty or polluted it is, the causes come first from the street. They come first from the land. Okay, so this is why we come with this name. And what is our strategy? Clean Street, Clean Sea has based its strategy on two clusters. And the first one is about sensitization, and the second one is about actions. Okay, by sensitization, we mean campaign, webinars, and we're gonna use we are starting to use the social networks and to bring other people to take them in our fight so that they can interact with us and they can share with us their ideas on the social networks. And also on the social networks, we share message that will make people feel sensitive about what they can do to change the situation. Okay, and right now we are via this webinar, we are in the sensitization part, and Emmanuelson gonna talk to you about the action clusters.
Okay. This webinar is, we title it, "Or Do We Live?" Because we want people to take conscience that how they live on the world has an impact on the environment. That's the reason why we want everybody right here to feel that the way you live, what you do, all your actions, and everything you do has an impact, good or bad, on the environment. That's the reason why we decided to start our first webinar on this title.
As you can see, it is part on the webinar series named the Global Oceans Forums. Okay, so this is our first presentation. Okay, and this is How Do We Live? Get ready, people.
This is the outline. First of all, we're gonna present the world situation of the world, the environmental situation of the world. I will do it, and the second part,
we're gonna ask some question. We're gonna take people to know why the situation is like this.
And after that, we're gonna talk about what we can do, what can be done to change the situation.
And just to wrap up, we're gonna talk about, we're gonna share advice, suggestions, that will, and examples from other countries that will inspire people. And this part, we named it Live Better and Make Your Whole Environment Get Better. Emmanuelson.
And at the end, we're gonna conclude and open a discussion and go to have your point of view and your questions. We start. All the whole world is doing. During this last 60 years, the human being have made more, has destroyed the world more than all the generation before. From the 2000 till now, we have many environmental problems. The first one is the air pollution. Our air is really polluted right now, and because of many things. The gas that they produce, the cars, enterprises, and every other things, and many other things like weapons, nuclear weapons, and so on. The pollution of the air has an impact on the ocean too. And the way that people are living pollute the oceans too. For example, we record that there are many kind of animals in the oceans that are disappeared. Those two situations causes natural disasters because the world is doing bad. It will have an impact on the earth will react that causes natural disasters. That's the reason why we have so many earthquakes, so many tsunamis, so many flood, so many hurricanes. It is those natural disasters or some movement of the earth, but they are caused by our by the human. That's the reason why the year 2010 is one among the year that we record the highest level of natural disasters in the world. And can you imagine that the world has recorded more than 150 disasters in 1 year? That means the problem is right here, and we're supposed to take care of it. After that, we have the global warming. The global warming is caused by the emission of some gas, and always by the way that we're living. We have the melting of the ice block and the polar ozone. But right now, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the air pollution. I'm gonna give some data about the air pollution and the ocean pollution. I don't know if you know about that, but every year 7 to 8 million of people dies of the bad quality of the air. Can you take conscience of that? Every year 7 to 8 million of people dies of the bad quality of the air. 4.3 of those dead or due to indoor pollution. That means the people is polluted inside his home. 3.7 million are due to the outdoor pollution. And next on the screen we have an image that shows the indoor pollution and the outdoor pollution. The indoor pollution is household air pollution caused by cooking stoves, eating, and lighting. Many people ignore that, but the bulbs, the light, cause pollution of the air too. And the outdoor pollution is the pollution that you meet and outside. It is caused by cars, enterprises, and so on. I want to close this part. The ocean pollution. The ocean pollution affects lives of humans on many aspects. It has impact on tourism, aquaculture, shipping, fishing, and recreations. It's mean when you don't take care of your ocean in a country, that's what we are facing in Haiti. They don't take care of the sea in Haiti. It affects our lives in many levels. It pollute. It's mean the what we eat is polluted. It's mean you can get sick by eating some polluted fish, something like that. It has an impact on our economy because it reduces the level of your tourism. The aquaculture is bad. The shipping, fishing is bad too. And after that, people who used to go to recreate themselves on the beach will have problems. That means the ocean pollution affect the life of a population in many levels. As a reason why the fight we lead is the fight we lead is judicious. Action to avoid the pollution of the ocean costs more than $10 billion per year, and is the principal cause of $622 million of loss every year. Because of it, because of the ocean pollution, marine plankton is disappearing progressively. Not that the species produces 50% of the oxygen of the earth. And right now, we have a little board that shows the impact of what you do on the ocean. We have upstairs the maritime litter effect, and we have what affect the maritime litter. There are things that you do that affect it large, like work vessels, lost fishing nets, lost cargo containers. And after that there are things that affect it medium, plastic bags, soda bottles, meat containers, and there is some kind of thing that affected small, like beds, cosmetics products, clothes fibers, and so on. It's mean I present you this board and the goal to make you take conscience that if you get some kind of thing in the ocean or next to the ocean, it will have an impact. It will increase the pollution of the ocean. And to finish this point, I got a question for you, and I'd like to answer. I'd like to hear your answers. Do you think that the way you live has great impact on the environment? Do you think that? I want to hear your answers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm pretty much sure the way we live, has influence on the environment, because especially with recycling stuff, if we do most of these stuff and we are not able to, use it very well, it's causes harm to us and the environment as well. So, the way that we live in actually affect the environment. So, yeah.
Okay, congratulations, sir. There is no one else want to answer?
I do. I just want to add to that. The way we live does have great impact. What would it say? Do you think the way you live has great impact on the environment? It does. For example, they just opened, trade to Cuba, and just recently put an ambassador there. So obviously there's probably going to be more of an influx of trade, pollution, and different things going on within that area. Like you were saying about earthquakes, mudslides, sinkholes, all of that has an effect on the environment after a while. because of the pollution, because we don't take care of the earth, because, we decide, after we drink a Coca-Cola bottle and then we just throw it on the ground, that's it, that it's not going to have an effect on the environment. You even look around my city or my neighborhood, you see like how the environment is changing and how people don't take care of the environment. It's little things like that we don't think will greatly affect us over time. But because of climate change, I think I was reading somewhere by 2030 that poverty will increase. And the way we live is like, what is it? The meat industry, those things have an effect on the environment because they use so much vast area for whatever it is that they do. And I think it was the Great Barrier Reef that just recently, is no longer in existence. And there's only a small percentage of Amazon, but we don't take into consideration, like poaching, deforestation, and different things like that. It does have a great effect on our environment. And then we wonder why animals are moving into our environment if they don't have a place to go elsewhere. That's basically what's going to happen. And eventually we have to find, we will have to find land that is habitable, and it will become inhabitable if natural disasters continue. And as you can see, more natural disasters are moving inland when, as before, it was more coastal. So.
Talk to you about why it is like that, why the situation is like that.
You said, can you repeat that?
Yeah, it said.
Thank you. Thank you, Christina. We're gonna keep on with Edrison. We're gonna talk to you about why the situation is like that in the world.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Why is the situation like this? I'm gonna present some points and some facts, and of course there are just 3 facts among 1,000. Okay, so but I think there's facts I'm gonna present. People need to pay more attention to them. Okay, the first fact is about the bad habits of consumption. Locally in Haiti, water bags, plastic bottles, and foam plates are the most common waste in the streets and also in the sea. So it is like that because of the consumption habit of the population. Okay, I remember one day I was in a conference online with the CEO of TerraCycle, Tom Skarsky, and one advice he shared is about the consumption habit. Okay, people always buy things every day. They buy things for food. They go to the supermarket. They buy clothes, but most of these people don't buy these items for a sustainable use. Okay, so if we think if we think of our consumption in a way that in a sustainable way, you will be able to reduce the amount of waste in your environment. Or an example, you have the choice when you buy the milk. You have the choice to you can have the milk in a plastic bottle, and also in a paper bag. When you buy the milk and the plastic bottle, you offer yourself the possibility to use this bottle again. At home, this is what we do. We always recycle the plastic bottle, okay? Because we will need to stock some things, liquid and everything. you can use this plastic bottle again. Okay, so it is an example of how you can change your habits of consumption. The second fact is about the plastic production. In the world, the plastic production has reached its peak. Do you imagine that more than 300 million plastics are produced per year? And let me present you some statistics about that. 14% are incinerated in energy recovery. 40% are landfilled. 33% are leakage, and only 14 is recycled. So we can think about that. Do you imagine on 100 of plastic produced in the world, only 14 is recycled? What about the rest? What about the 86% left? Yes, it is it is polluted the environment, it is polluted the sea, the street, it is polluted the air you are breathing. Okay, because again in Haiti, but not only in Haiti, in 86% countries in the world, people are still burning the waste in an open air environment. Okay, so it is they are polluted the environment. They are responsible of million of waste every day caused by the pollution, by the air pollution. So people need to know about that. People need to change this habit. Okay, and the last fact I'm gonna present in this part is the inexistence of an effective waste management in Haiti. I said in Haiti because we are more we know more about the situation in Haiti. But I remember during a conference, I met a young leader, and she told me that Haiti is not the only country where the waste management is either ineffective or inexistent. Okay, so by practicing, by show the way people can make a better waste management in Haiti, I think it will have an impact. It will inspire young leader in some other place in the world to do the same in their own country. And I'm gonna move on and leave you with this question. What else do you think you can make, what else do you think made the situation worse? I wanna hear from you. I wanna have your impression. What do you think? Please do not hesitate to.
No one want to place a word?
I think what else makes the situation worse, I don't know how I'm a political science major, so I don't fully know about, I'm still learning about governments of other countries. I don't know what the government is doing to make a difference for the pollution, for the environment, but that has effect. Also, the biggest thing whenever you're trying to impact someone or create a movement, it's always that getting someone engaged in it or getting them actually motivated to do something about their environment. They feel as though, why should I care about my environment? Why should, I be the only one to make a difference? How is, me just picking up a piece of garbage and putting it in the trash making a difference? So I think it has to do with the amount of people who are willing to help or contribute to cleaning up the environment. And also, I think it has a lot to do with the government, what they're doing for the people, what they're doing for their environment and the country.
Okay, thank you.
No one else wants to place a word?
Okay, so if there's anything else, we're gonna move on. The next slide with Emmanuelson.
What can be done to change the situation? We don't only have the possibility to degrade, to pollute the environment. We can lead action to change it too. We have recorded in the past. We see it right now, and it's supposed to be done in the future. So when we go back in a time, history shows that we have some leaders that already act to change this situation, and we have some movement, some organizations that are working hard in a goal to change the environmental situation. I can present you some. We got MCC, we got COP 21, 22. We have Let's Do It. This organization plans to organize a World Cleanup Day. That means they are thinking about the way to choose a day in 2017.
September 2017.
They choose this date, and every country affiliate at this program will have a cleanup day in their country. That means at the same date, many countries will have a cleanup day. That's in the goal to show the world that we really care about the environmental problem, and we are acting in the goal to change it. We have the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You all know about that. And we have our little organization, our young organization, Clean Street, Clean Sea. So talking about 80, we are leading fight against waste on the earth and on the sea. We are, as Peterson came to tell that at the beginning, we are leading sensitization. We go to the schools, to the universities. We use the social media, and after that, we are acting. That means we are collecting, we are finding human resources, financial resources, institutional resources to collect waste and go to reduce it, to reduce the waste amount in our community first, and after that, to eliminate it. And what else can be done? We can create more occasions for social entrepreneurs so that they can bring their brilliant ideas to help solving this problem. Because young can do it. The young have ideas. They are willing to change this world. They are willing to change something in the way that we are living. So let's give them the occasion to show what they can do, to show their proof. And we can organize more sensitization campaign. So what we are doing right here, we can do it more oftenly. Everyone right here can get people involved in this fight against pollution, against waste in their own community. And like that, everyone will be in touch of this problem, and everyone will find a way to resolve it, to change a little point in the situation. And what does Clean Street, Clean Sea want to do, our organization? Our mission is to reduce and finally eliminate waste in the street and the community. And we focus on two clusters, sensitization and actions. And as I told you, we organize social activities, promote good messages on our Facebook pages and other social medias. We organize webinars, seminars, and like this Saturday, we're gonna have a presentation in a school about the same problem. And actions, we are seeking for resources that can help us to achieve our goal. And we are collecting waste from the street during cleanup campaigns that we will organize. We plan to have a week of cleanup in our community in December. We are contacting people to help us in this fight. And the question for you on this point is, all waste are managed in your community? I guess this question is really important for us because you all are from different community or different cultures, and we want to know what is the policy of waste management in your community. It is really important for us to know from you about this situation. So all wastes are managed in your community. I'd like everybody right here to answer this question.
So you've answered. Oh, go ahead.
When you say how wasted in our community.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. When you say you talk about where we are living right now, or about Haiti?
Well, about your community, the community you are in right now.
Your block,
Okay.
Your block, your city, the country that you are living right now.
Okay. So where I am in Aguascalientes. That is a city from Mexico. And they have a system very simple, I can say, because they people have to go to throw their waste in the bottle. We have
Hello.
Haiti and
Hello. Excuse me. I think your signal quality is a little poor. I'm gonna ask you to leave us your comments.
Write us your comment.
You can see on your screen a chat button. Okay, you can click on it and send your comments, and after that we're gonna read it for other participants. Okay. Thank you. Any other question? Any other comment? Any other impression?
Reactions?
Okay, Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I'm very sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay. If there's any other question, we're gonna move on. The next point.
I can share how waste is managed in my community, if that would help. Or
Okay, okay.
It's up to you. Yeah,
Okay.
so I live in Boston in the United States, and here we have a citywide system where they come and pick up waste, but it is not all waste. So, for example, with food waste, with compost, that's not something that we have picked up in our city, but there are some cities in America where it's the state and the city that will actually come and pick up those pieces. Which is much more sustainable than throwing all of that away. But I think it's interesting that in America, it's different from city to city, that in some cities, they have recycling and trash. In some cities, they have compost. In some cities, they don't have all of those things. So it is interesting that in even within our country, we have different waste management systems. And I'm curious if that's true in any of your countries. If it's different from city to city, or if it's the same for the whole country. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. We really appreciate. Okay, now we're gonna move on the next point. Live better and make your whole environment get better. Like I told you in the presentation, in the introduction, in this part, we're gonna share with you some advice, some suggestions, and as you can see on the screen, there's a pair of sneakers. I want you to know that there's the sneakers you are watching right now. It is made from nylon and plastic collected from the ocean. Okay, I think it is a very interesting initiative, and other countries can follow this model, and why not have a standard production for that. It is not the only thing people made from waste collected. In Haiti, people used to collect waste from the street like plastics and foam. Some people used to collect them in the street and create some art tools with them. Okay, and again in Europe, there are some countries that are planning right now to have some of their woods, okay, made with plastics. Okay, there's a lot of interesting thing people are doing around the world with waste, with trashes, because trashes, it is not essentially waste. Okay, in some other countries, people see trashes as resources, and I think it is a very important point, and it is one thing you have to think about everything. If you are involving in the business field like me, you can create a business model of about waste, because according to me, it is mostly in Haiti. It is one of the resources you find free in the street. You find waste everywhere. So it is the only resources, I think. It is the only resources, I think, which is not seldom or limited in the nature. Okay, and right now let's move to the table. What can we do? As you can see the title, it is an advocate for clean seas. Okay, here are some advices shared on the page of the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. And the first advice is enforce and strengthen legislation to stop marine litter. The second one is show the true cost of plastic disposal on products so that people can have a more responsible consumption. Okay. Invest in waste management infrastructures in a country like Haiti. It is very important to invest more in this sector and to do waste management, to make an effective waste management. In some countries, the government are planning to ban plastic bags. Okay, in some other, they use reusable bags. Okay, they make people invest in research to develop non-toxic material. They recycle. Recycle, it is an important point in our campaign. So it's important for people to recycle what they have, to recycle even the household waste. Clean up beaches and shorelines. Ban smoking on beaches. About the rest of smoking collected on beaches. Right now, again, TerraCycle, it is an enterprise that is working right now in the waste management industry, and with the cigarette waste they collect, they make baby diapers with it. Okay, so they collect so many trashes from cigarette that they can have enough to make a baby diaper. It is very interesting. And the last advice is about stop intentional littering. Also, you can act in order to reduce the air pollution, and this is what you can see in the other table. Advocate for better air quality. You can provide clean cooking and heating stoves to rural community. You can use cleaner burning foods. You can switch to clean diesel and improve engines for transport and freight. Have stricter vehicle emissions and efficiency standards. You can switch from kerosene lamps to clean lighting technology like solar lights. Don't openly burn waste or crops. It is something we're gonna promote on our Facebook page. A page I invite you to like, please. We can also prioritize the use of walking, cycling, or rapid urban transit over private vehicles. Ensure industries of use clean technologies. You can establish, adhere to and enforce air quality standards, and you can invest in renewable energy. And above all, stop emission of climate pollutants such as black carbon, ozone, and methane to save lives and help reduce global warming by 0.5 degrees Celsius. So this has been okay, the part 4 of our presentation. Now it's time to conclude. and to open a discussion forum. Nelson?
Okay, we come to see that first of all, the environmental situation in the world is not good. The situation is bad because of the way that we live in the world. We know that destroy the environment is not the only thing that we can do. We have to we come to see that there are some actions that has been taken in the past that are leading right now, and I want you to be involved in these actions, like recycle, change the way that your consumption ways, and so on. And I want you to support our fight, to support our organization, and give us advice, say what you think, and give us every kind of support that you can. And don't forget to like our Facebook page.
And one more thing you can do, you can leave us a message in the chat section with our names so that we can have a kind of database of who have already participated with us in our webinars, and we can, if you want more further details about what we have presented, if we have your contact, we can send you via email or via Facebook, WhatsApp, anything. We can send you the details you want. And like Emmanuelson said, don't forget to like our Facebook page. It is Clean Street, Clean Sea. Clean Street, Clean Sea.
Okay. So right now, I'd like you to share with us any idea you think that can help us to solve the problem. And before all, I want to answer the question that Raina asked before. In our community and in our country, in Haiti, waste is managed, I say managed, by the municipalities. That's mean the mayor has the attribution to manage the waste in his municipality, but it is a fail. They fail in this goal. They never achieve it. And the biggest problem in Haiti, that's mean even if they collect the waste, they clean the street, they clean the streets. They just come somewhere and they put the waste. That's mean they throw it away again. That's mean they take the waste right here and they put it over there. It's like they don't do any serious thing. The waste is always here. The waste is still here. They don't do anything to recycle, to recover, to reuse the waste that they collect. And we are thinking about this fact. So share with us, please, any idea, any comment.
All right. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for giving us such an information. Well, first of all, I think for us to manage our waste very well, it has to start with our own individual, our own mindset. For instance, I think in North America here, we don't really have much problem, especially in Canada and US. I don't think so. But as compared to most of the African countries, I'm originally from Ghana. Even in school here, we have two garbage. The compost, we have the recycle. But even with that, you still have some students combining all the compost and the recycle all together. Okay, so I think it has to start with our own self, our mindset, that we have to change the way we think. We have to know that we are doing the right thing, and at the end, it's going to benefit not we personally, but the people around us as well. And secondly, I think the government also have to start making laws and issues as to how pertaining how things are supposed to be done. and ways to check these things. Okay, if there are checks and balances, assuming like they make a law saying, you know, anyone that we see you combining compost and everything together in your house, you'll be charged this way, and they embark on that to do it. I think people will just, you know, start stopping whatever thing they're doing as compared to, I mean, just giving all the issues and everything to people. You know what I mean? Yeah, I
All right, I understand you.
means that I think once it is considered, it will be very helpful. And yeah, thanks so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. And any other comment, any other
questions, idea, point of view?
Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, I had to read the impression, the comment from a participant, the one we couldn't hear.
Yeah, she's from Mexico. She's in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I will read for you what she said. I say that in Mexico, people are responsible to throw the garbage and bottles where or recollected by the municipal responsible and transferred to a department where they get separate and urban garbages, dangerous garbages, and special management garbages. That is, I guess, it is a great way to manage waste, and we're supposed to consider this idea. I mean, divide the garbage that we collect and different level. It is interesting. Is there any other questions, point of view, advice, comment? Raina?
Yes, I'm here. I'll say something when you're finished. I'll say one note about the next webinars, but I'll let you finish before I do that.
Okay.
Oh. I'm sorry. Did you hear that?
No, not really.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that I do have something to say at the very end, but I want to make sure that you are finished in whatever way you'd like before I say that.
Okay, no problem.
No problem.
Okay, just something for the participants who just join us. Please know that you can find all these webinars, including the fellowship session. We can find it on YouTube after, and if you follow the MCN page on Facebook, you will have further information about how you can have and how you can live again this presentation. Okay, it was just a message for the people who just arrived.
Great, thank you for that. That's absolutely one of the things I was going to say as well. Great. So was that the last thing you wanted to say?
Yes, we have received another message from Bella, the participant from Mexico. First, you could propose working in association with municipality, one part where you separate garbage and other part proposing final dispositions. Okay, it is a part of our campaign in which we will have to work with the municipality, because it is one of the biggest partner we expect to have in our fight. Okay, we have already contacted the mayor due to the last activity from the Hurricane Matthew. Is busy in other things, and we have not received his response his answer yet, okay? But I'm optimistic. I'm sure he will collaborate with us now and tomorrow. What I'm really sure about is that he will collaborate with us, and we will put our end together to make the fight, to be stronger in the fight. Okay, no message, no more comments. Okay.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm just going to say one quick thing. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Pedersen and Emmanuelson. That was a great first webinar. You really set the bar high, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year of Oceans webinars. And also, thank you to everybody who called in. We ended up having a really great group of people. I know some of you never sent me information about where you were calling from. So if you haven't, please send me in the chat your name, your email address, and where you're calling from. Some of the places that I saw represented included Canada, Mexico, North Carolina, Haiti. And I saw a few other people who never sent me information, so please send that. And so our next webinar is going to be on November 17th, so it's coming up in just a couple of weeks. It will be led by our other campaign winners, who are the gender campaign winners. So that one will be in the evening. It will be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but using this exact same link, so the same Zoom link that you used to be on this call. So you are all very cordially invited to that other webinar. And the following Oceans webinar will be on December 20th. So our next Oceans one will be in December, which is somehow not that far away anymore, from 10 to 12. And you can also join using this link. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with us. You can contact us through Facebook. My email address is rfox@mcnpartners.org, so please feel free to email me. And also Emmanuelson and Pedersen, I'm happy to connect you with them or vice versa. So feel free to message them now or later. And thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to have you on this call, and I hope that we will see each other again. All right, great. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to end this call. So thank you so much. Bye, everyone.